Hi, and welcome to the first in our series of Battlemore tutorials. We're going to be going over some basic RTS stuff such as unit selection and movement. If you're already pretty familiar with these concepts, I'd recommend you skip to the time on screen. We're going to be going over some more advanced features there. As you may have learned if you've played the first level, you've got the very basics of selecting your units using the left click and drag. This is normally how you're going to want to select them. When you do so, they're going to appear down here in what we call the command card. If you only select one unit, it'll actually show all of their stats. If you select multiples, it shows the whole list of them. Other ways to select units is you can double click on a guy, you can press shift, and then click on a guy to either add or remove him from the selection. You can also hold down control and left click in order to select all of a given kind of guy, or you can even do a combination of them. So if we have a specific set of units that we want to keep separated from everybody else, we can add them to a control group by pressing Control and 1. You'll now see them pop up here in a control group. So now, if you select another guy and you want to recall that selection anywhere on the map, you can either click the button down here, or you can just press 1, and now we have them selected again. You can add units to the group by selecting another unit and just pressing Shift and 1. See, that'll now add them to it, so when we press 1, they're all now part of it. So, like in most RTS genres, when you select your units, all you need to do in order to make them move is to right-click. They will hold their formation as normal. In order to get them to do what we call an attack move, we need to press T. So when they attack move, the units will move towards the destination, stopping to attack anyone along the way. Normally the unit AI is pretty good, so unless you want to do some fancy micro tactics in a fight, I'd recommend you let them pick their own targets. For instance, in this fight, this guy is pretty tanky up front, but they can still handle him pretty well. So we've cleaned up this fight pretty easily. Now, you may be asking why we press T, whereas in other RTSs we normally click A for attack. We'll be going over that in a future video, and I promise there's a really good reason for it. So, we've got this little unit card over here if you ever forget these things. So if you want to have your guys patrol, all you need to do is press Control and T. This will cause the units to go back and forth until they eventually find an enemy, and they'll stop to destroy him, and then they'll continue on their way. If you want them to ever stop a command, all you have to do is press G. This is just a standard stop command. They go back to doing just sitting there, basically. And then, sometimes if the enemy is off in a distance and we don't want our guys to chase them, you can then go and press Control and G. This will have them be on the hold ground stance. So they will still attack enemies, but they hold their ground. Some other basic features are, if you have units selected, all you have to do is press the spacebar and it'll center the camera on them. If you have multiple selected, it'll actually rotate between them. Alright, now we're going to get into some advanced features about how we can select our units. You probably are familiar with the Select All Army hotkey. In this game, that hotkey is set to F9 as the default. You can see this up here in this interface command. So F9 is Select All Army. However, sometimes you want to be able to custom select multiple kinds of guys across the entire map. If we enter hotkeys, you can see all of these hotkeys in here if you need to review them at any time in game. Other hotkeys will reveal to us this menu. So, our F1 through F4 keys can be programmed to select all of a given unit type across the entire map. So, by default, F1 is actually set to select all of our natural army units. F2 is set to select all of our Zephyrs, because they're pretty useful for bombing runs. F3 is for augmenters, because sometimes we need to swap them out. And then F4 is for steelcrafters, in case we want to try to find a worker. So inside of here, you can go and select whatever you want. And we hit apply. And we return to game. You can now see that change reflected up here. So there's a little bit of a UI glitch here. It doesn't actually show everybody in the list, but if we then go and hit F1, it'll select everybody across the map that fits those descriptions. So this is going to wrap up video 1 about unit selection and movement. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and we'll go ahead and the next tutorial with unit abilities and other interface features. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.